First contact. The vast emptiness of space surrounded the Crixian command vessel Dominion. For centuries, the Crixian Empire had expanded across the galaxy, subjugating species after species with their superior technology and ruthless efficiency. Their sleek, crystalline ships were feared throughout known space, and their very name caused civilizations to surrender rather than face annihilation. Commander Zeril stood tall on the bridge of the Dominion, his scaled skin gleaming under the blue lights as he surveyed the holographic display of their territory. His six-fingered hand traced the outline of their latest conquest, a mineral-rich system that would fuel their expansion for decades to come. Another glorious victory for the Empire, he said, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Prepare the harvesting fleet. In the communications sector below the main bridge, Officer Tevik frowned at his monitoring station. For 3 cycles now, he had detected an unusual signal emanating from an unexplored sector beyond the Empire's western boundary. The pattern was unlike anything in their extensive database, structured yet alien, repeating with mathematical precision that suggested intelligence. "Commander," Tevik called through the ship's communication system, "I've detected an anomalous signal from Sector 9 Theta. It appears to be artificial in origin." The commander's annoyed voice returned promptly. "Is it a distress signal from one of our outposts?" "No, sir. The signal originates beyond our territory. It doesn't match any known species in our records." A dismissive laugh echoed through the comm. "Then it's of no concern. Probably some primitive civilization discovering radio waves. Continue monitoring, but prioritize the resource allocation for our new acquisition." Tivik wanted to protest, but knew his place. The Crixian hierarchy was absolute. Questioning superiors had ended many promising careers. Still, something about the signal troubled him. Its complexity suggested a technological sophistication that warranted investigation. Over the next several cycles, the signal grew stronger and more complex. Tivik spent his off-duty hours analyzing the transmission, gradually decoding parts of it. What he found sent a chill through his body. "Commander," he reported, unable to keep the urgency from his voice, "I've partially decoded the signal. It contains references to a species called humans and indicates a fleet approaching our western boundary." Commander Zeril finally appeared at the communications center, looming over Tyvek's station. "Show me." The display revealed a series of decoded messages, astronomical coordinates, and what appeared to be fleet movements. Most disturbing was a simple, direct message repeated throughout the transmission. "Humanity approaches. Prepare for contact." "Have you cross-referenced this humanity with our databases?" Zeril asked, his earlier dismissiveness giving way to mild concern. "Yes, sir. There's no record of such a species. They must originate from beyond the charted regions." The commander contemplated this information, then straightened with renewed confidence. "Alert High Command, but there's no need for alarm. The Crixian Empire has never encountered a species we couldn't subjugate or destroy if necessary. Continue monitoring and prepare a first contact protocol. If these humans are peaceful, they will submit to our authority. If not..." His mandibles clicked in anticipation. 3 cycles later, the long-range sensors detected a massive object entering the edge of Crixian space. The entire command crew gathered on the bridge as the object came into visual range. "Magnify," ordered Zeril. The screen shifted to show an enormous vessel unlike any they had encountered. Where Crixian ships were sleek and crystalline, this craft was robust and formidable, bristling with what appeared to be weapon systems and defensive capabilities. Its hull bore markings in an unfamiliar script, but one word was clearly visible: Earth. "That can't be their flagship," one officer muttered. "It's too large." Yet the scans confirmed it. The vessel was nearly 3 times the size of the Dominion, the pride of the Crixian fleet. More concerning were the energy readings, which suggested propulsion and weapons technology beyond Crixian understanding. "Open communications," Zeril commanded, adjusting his ceremonial armor. Despite his growing unease, he maintained the imperial posture expected of a Crixian commander. The main screen flickered, and for the first time, the Crixians beheld a human. The creature had no scales, no mandibles, just smooth skin, 2 eyes, and a curious symmetry to its features. It wore a dark uniform adorned with symbols of rank. "This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. We come representing humanity and the United Worlds." The translation system rendered the alien speech perfectly, revealing a level of preparation that surprised the Crixian crew. Zerl stepped forward. "I am Commander Zerl of the Crixian Empire. You have entered our sovereign territory without permission. State your purpose." Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral. "We are aware of the boundaries you claim, Commander. We come seeking diplomatic relations with the Crixian Empire following concerning reports from species in neighboring systems." Concerning reports. Zerl's mandibles twitched with irritation. "The affairs of the Empire are not your concern, human. Any species under our protection falls under our jurisdiction." Protection. Something hardened in the human's expression. "That's not the word the Ventari used when they contacted us, nor the Azul or the Morrigan colonies." A murmur ran through the Crixian bridge. These were names of species recently pacified by Imperial forces. Those species required Imperial guidance. Zerl replied smoothly. "Their resources are now being efficiently utilized for the greater good of the galaxy." "I see." Admiral Chen's voice cooled significantly. "Then we appear to have different definitions of greater good, Commander. Humanity has encountered Imperial expansionism before. We had hoped the Crixians might be open to more equitable relationships." The tension on the bridge grew palpable. Tivek watched the exchange with mounting anxiety, noting the implied threat in the human's words. "The Empire does not negotiate terms of equality with unknown species," Zerl declared. "You will submit to Imperial scanning and provide details of your civilization's location, capabilities, and resources. A protectorate status may be arranged if your species proves worthy." Admiral Chen's face showed no reaction, but her voice carried an unmistakable warning. "Commander Zerl, I strongly advise you to reconsider your position. Humanity comes prepared for either peace or conflict. The choice is yours." "Is that a threat, human?" Zerl's voice dropped dangerously. "It's a reality you should carefully consider. We will hold position for one standard cycle. I suggest you use that time to consult with your leadership about a diplomatic approach to our relations." With that, the transmission ended. Fury rippled across Zerl's features. The audacity. They dare to threaten the Empire. He turned to his tactical officer. "Analyze their vessel. Find weaknesses. No upstart species dictates terms to the Crixian Empire." Tivek spoke up hesitantly. "Sir, perhaps we should consider their offer of diplomacy. Their technology appears advanced, and we know nothing of their military capabilities." Silence. Zerl snapped. "Your caution borders on treason, Officer Tivek. The Empire has conquered hundreds of species. These humans will learn their place like all the others." As the command crew prepared battle strategies, more human vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel, taking positions around the horizon. Each ship was uniquely designed but equally imposing, suggesting a civilization with diverse but advanced shipbuilding capabilities. "Sir," the tactical officer reported with undisguised concern, "scans indicate their weapons systems are unlike anything in our database. They appear to be powered by technology similar to our theoretical zero-point energy research." "Theoretical," Tivek whispered, the implication striking him. Technology the Crixians had only theorized about, these humans had already mastered. Commander Zerl refused to acknowledge the growing unease among his crew. "Prepare a full battle fleet. We will show these humans the might of the Crixian Empire. Their technology may be advanced, but they lack our strategic experience and evolutionary superiority." As orders were transmitted throughout the Empire, the human fleet maintained its position, waiting. Tivek couldn't shake the feeling that the Crixians were making a catastrophic mistake. Everything about humanity, from their confident approach to their advanced technology, suggested a species that should not be underestimated. Yet the Imperial machinery ground forward, preparing for what they believed would be another glorious conquest. Little did they know that humanity's arrival would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. The battle begins. The Crixian battle fleet assembled with practiced precision, crystalline vessels arranging themselves in the legendary Fist of Dominion formation that had crushed countless civilizations. 50 warships surrounded the human fleet, which maintained its position with unsettling calm. From the tactical operations center of the secondary command vessel, Officer Tivik monitored the deployment with growing dread. The humans had made no aggressive moves, yet the Empire was preparing to strike with full force. "All vessels report ready," Commander Zeril announced, the fleet coordinator. "Weapons charged, targeting systems locked." On the main screen, the human vessels appeared deceptively motionless. Their hulls absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them, making detailed analysis difficult. This technological quirk alone should have caused concern, but the Crixian command interpreted it as primitive shielding. "The cycle of negotiation has ended," Zeril declared. "The humans have failed to submit to Imperial authority. Execute attack pattern Sigma 3. Tevik's protests died in his throat as the command was relayed. The Crixian fleet surged forward, energy weapons charging with their distinctive blue glow. The first salvo, a concentrated barrage of plasma torpedoes, streaked across space toward the human flagship. What happened next would be debated in military academies for generations to come. Moments before impact, the human vessels moved with impossible speed and coordination. The formation shifted like a living organism, creating gaps precisely where the Crixian weapons passed through. Not a single torpedo found its mark. "Impossible," breathed the tactical officer. "No species has ever evaded a full Sigma 3 pattern." Before the Crixians could regroup, the human fleet responded. There was no visible weapons discharge, no energy buildup that their sensors could detect. One moment, the Crixian vanguard ships were advancing. The next, their systems simply went dark. 15 warships drifted powerless, life support their only functioning system. "What happened?" Zeril demanded, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "Report." "Unknown weapon signature, sir," came the shaken reply. "Some form of targeted electromagnetic pulse, but far more sophisticated than anything in our database." Zeril slammed his fist on the command console. "Adjust shield frequencies. Launch the second wave." The remaining Crixian vessels pressed the attack, adjusting their approach to compensate for the humans' unexpected agility. This time, they managed to land several hits on the smaller human vessels. Cheers erupted across the Crixian command as energy blossoms erupted against the human hulls. But the celebration was premature. The human ships absorbed the impacts with minimal damage, their hulls somehow redistributing the energy. Then they moved into offensive positions. "Evasive maneuvers," Zeril ordered, but it was too late. The human counterattack was surgical and devastating. Pinpoint energy beams sliced through Crixian shields as if they were non-existent, targeting propulsion and weapons systems with perfect accuracy. No life support or crew quarters were hit. The humans were deliberately avoiding casualties while rendering the Imperial fleet combat ineffective. Tivik watched the tactical display in awe as ship after ship reported critical systems failures. Within minutes, half the Crixian fleet was disabled but not destroyed, their crews alive but helpless. "This isn't possible," Zeril muttered, his previous confidence shattered. "No species has ever. We've never been." "Sir," Tivik interjected, "they're hailing us." The main screen activated to show Admiral Chen again, her expression stern but not triumphant. "Commander Zeril, you have witnessed a fraction of humanity's defensive capabilities. We have disabled your vessels without taking lives. This restraint should not be mistaken for weakness." Zeril struggled to maintain his composure. This changes nothing. The Empire spans thousands of systems. What you face is merely a border fleet. We are well aware of the Empire's extent, Commander. Our intelligence is quite thorough. I again offer you the opportunity for diplomatic resolution before this conflict escalates further." Before Zurl could respond, a priority transmission from the Imperial homeworld interrupted. The stern visage of High Commander Xoreth, supreme military leader of the Crixian Empire, filled a secondary screen. "Commander Zurl, explain this debacle immediately," Xoreth demanded, his ancient face contorted with rage. "High Commander, we've encountered a previously unknown species with technology beyond our current capabilities. They call themselves humans and—" "I don't care what they call themselves," Xoreth interrupted. "No primitive species defeats a Crixian fleet. You will be reinforced by the 7th Imperial Armada. Destroy these insolent creatures and bring their technology for Imperial study." Admiral Chen, still on the main screen, had clearly overheard. "Your reinforcements will face the same outcome, High Commander Xoreth. Humanity has no desire for protracted conflict, but we are prepared for it." Xoreth's eyes narrowed at this direct address. "You dare to threaten the Empire? Who are you to challenge species that ruled the stars while your kind was still huddling in caves?" "We are humanity," Chen replied simply. "We evolved not as conquerors, but as survivors. Our history is filled with conflict and cooperation in equal measure. We fought ourselves more viciously than any alien threat, and in doing so, we've mastered the art of war while learning the value of peace." "Pretty words from a soon-to-be extinct species," Xoreth sneered. Chen's expression remained unchanged. "You're not the first to make that prediction, High Commander. I suggest you consult your intelligence archives more thoroughly before committing to this course of action." The transmission from the human vessel ended, leaving the Crixian command in uncomfortable silence. Tevek, sensing an opportunity, accessed the deep intelligence archives from his station. If the humans had encountered other species before, there might be records, even if their name was unknown. What he found sent waves of shock through his system. There were records, fragmentary reports from the far reaches of explored space, accounts from trading species that had ventured beyond Imperial borders. They spoke of a bipedal species from a high-gravity world that had advanced from primitive technology to interstellar capability in an evolutionary eye blink. More disturbing were the accounts of their conflicts. One report described how humans had defeated a hive mind species that had previously been considered unbeatable due to their perfect coordination. The humans had prevailed through unpredictable tactics and a strange ability to think both individually and collectively. Another account told of a confrontation with a species known for their technological superiority. The humans had been outmatched at first, but had adapted with astonishing speed, reverse engineering advanced technology, and improving upon it within a single generation. "Sir," Tevek said quietly to Zurl, "I found intelligence on the humans. They're not like other species we've encountered." "What do you mean?" Zurl asked, his earlier arrogance now tempered by the reality of their situation. "They evolved on a death world, high gravity, extreme climate variations, diverse predators. Their entire history is defined by overcoming impossible odds, and they advance at an unprecedented rate. Species that encountered them decades ago reported primitive spaceflight. Now they have zero-point energy weapons." High Commander Xoreth, still connected from the homeworld, scoffed. "Exaggerations and rumors. No species evolves technology that quickly." "The evidence suggests otherwise, High Commander," Tevek persisted, displaying the intelligence reports. "And there's more. They're not expansionist in the traditional sense. They form alliances, defensive pacts. The reports indicate they've united several species under something called the Earth Alliance, a cooperative collective rather than an empire." "Weakness," Xoreth declared. "Division of power leads to inefficiency." Before they could debate further, sensors detected the arrival of massive new energy signatures. The 7th Imperial Armada had arrived. 200 of the most advanced warships in the Crixian fleet, led by the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. Simultaneously, Space rippled on the human side as dozens of new vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. These ships dwarfed even the impressive Horizon. Their designs varied but uniformly intimidating. Most alarming was the central vessel, a behemoth that sensors struggled to fully measure, its hull marked with the words, "Humanity of Purpose." "By the first egg," whispered Zoril. "What is that?" "According to their communications, it's a peace enforcement vessel," Tyvek replied, the irony not lost on him. "Designed specifically for large-scale conflict resolution." The human fleet reorganized with that same uncanny coordination, forming a defensive screen around their civilian and diplomatic vessels. Admiral Chen hailed them once more. "Crixian Command, we recognize your reinforcements as an escalation. We have responded in kind. This is your final opportunity for diplomatic resolution before we are forced to demonstrate our full combat capabilities." High Commander Xorath took control of the communication. "You face the might of the Crixian Empire. Humans, your technology may be impressive, but our numbers and experience will prevail. Surrender now, and your species may be granted favorable terms in the new order." Admiral Chen sighed, a strangely human gesture of resignation. "Very well. You've made your choice." She looked to someone off-screen and nodded. "Commence Operation Firebreak." The transmission ended, and the human fleet began to move. The turning point. What followed was not a battle in any conventional sense. It was a systematic dismantling of the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever known. The human vessels moved in patterns that defied prediction, their coordination perfect yet constantly evolving. The massive unity of purpose remained in the rear, seemingly directing the operation without engaging directly. Smaller craft darted between the lumbering Crixian warships, deploying localized fields that rendered Imperial weapons inert. From his position in the command center, Tyvek watched with a mixture of horror and awe as the pride of the Empire was reduced to drifting hulks. The humans employed a dizzying array of technologies: gravitational distortions, targeted electromagnetic pulses, even some form of temporary spatial displacement that caused Crixian vessels to briefly phase out of normal spacetime, reappearing seconds later with their systems reset and weapons offline. Most remarkable was their continued restraint. Despite having the clear ability to destroy the Crixian fleet, the humans limited themselves to disabling actions. Casualty reports showed minimal loss of Crixian life, primarily from secondary systems failures rather than direct human attacks. High Commander Xorath, watching from the Imperial homeworld, grew increasingly unstable as the battle progressed. "Launch the Nova warheads," he commanded, mandibles clicking violently. "Destroy them all." "Sir," Zoril protested, "Nova warheads will destroy our own fleet as well." "A worthy sacrifice for the Empire," Xorath hissed. "Launch them now." Tyvek exchanged horrified glances with other officers. Nova warheads, weapons that created miniature supernovas, were the Empire's last resort, planet killers that violated every galactic convention on warfare. Using them here would not only destroy both fleets, but potentially render this entire sector uninhabitable for centuries. Before the fatal command could be executed, a strange energy field enveloped the Crixian command vessels. All weapon systems went offline simultaneously, and the Nova warhead launch codes were locked behind impenetrable encryption. "What is happening?" Xorath demanded. "Who dares interfere with Imperial command?" The answer came from an unexpected source. A new transmission appeared on all Crixian screens, not from the human fleet, but from within the Crixian homeworld itself. "This is Ambassador Telex of the Crixian Reform Council," announced a dignified Crixian, wearing the ceremonial robes of the scientific caste. "By emergency authority granted under Imperial Code 7-93, High Commander Xorath has been temporarily relieved of command pending psychological evaluation." Xorath's scream of rage was cut short as his transmission was terminated. Ambassador Telex continued, his manner grave but composed. "To the representatives of humanity, The Reform Council requests an immediate cessation of hostilities and the opening of genuine diplomatic channels. We acknowledge that the Empire has acted aggressively and without proper assessment of your civilization. Tivik could scarcely believe what he was hearing. The Reform Council, a largely symbolic body of scientists, philosophers, and progressive military officers, had never before invoked emergency powers to override military command. Admiral Chen's face appeared alongside Telex's on the split screen. Ambassador, humanity welcomes your request. We accept the cessation of hostilities and are prepared for immediate diplomatic engagement. Our goal was never conquest, but the protection of species threatened by imperial expansion. May I ask, Telex inquired, why humanity has chosen this moment to intervene in imperial affairs? Our records show no previous contact between our species. Chen's expression softened slightly. We received distress signals from multiple species on your expansion frontier. When we investigated, we discovered a pattern of conquest that has gone unchallenged for too long. Humanity has a complicated history with colonialism and imperialism. We recognize the pattern, Ambassador, because we've lived it ourselves, both as victims and perpetrators. This admission surprised Tivik. A species openly acknowledging its own historical mistakes was unprecedented in his experience. The Ventari were the first to contact us, Chen continued. They provided coordinates for other affected species, and gradually we pieced together the extent of Crixian expansion. We spent 3 of our years studying your civilization, learning your language, understanding your technology, before deciding intervention was necessary. 3 years. The implications staggered Tivik. In just 3 years, the humans had mastered Crixian language, analyzed their technology, and developed countermeasures for every weapon in the Imperial arsenal. Ambassador Telex seemed equally taken aback. Your species learns at an uncomfortable rate, Admiral Chen. It's both our greatest strength and most dangerous tendency, Chen acknowledged. We evolve quickly, culturally and technologically, because throughout our history, we've had to. Our world was not gentle with us. Ambassador, those who couldn't adapt didn't survive. Over the next several hours, as disabled Crixian ships were assisted by human vessels with unexpected generosity, a framework for peace began to emerge. The Reform Council, seizing its unexpected authority, proposed significant changes to imperial policy, including an end to forced subjugation of other species and the establishment of a representative council for all civilizations within Crixian space. Tivik found himself appointed as liaison to the human delegation, his early recognition of the human threat now recast as diplomatic foresight. As he shuttled between meetings, he gradually came to understand the true nature of humanity, and it was far more complex than the Crixian intelligence reports had suggested. Humans were not united by biological imperative like the Crixians, nor by absolute authority. Their unity came from something more nebulous, shared principles that somehow allowed for tremendous individual variation while maintaining collective purpose. They argued openly among themselves, different factions advocating for different approaches to the Crixian situation, yet they presented a united front when necessary. Most surprisingly, they harbored no desire to replace Crixian dominance with their own. Their proposal for the region involved a complex system of mutual defense and cooperative governance, with each species maintaining sovereignty while contributing to collective security. You could easily conquer us, Tivik noted during a private meeting with Admiral Chen. Your technology, your tactical abilities, you could rule this sector of the galaxy. Yet you propose to give more freedom to species we conquered centuries ago. Why? Chen regarded him thoughtfully. Because we tried conquest once, on our own world. It brought us to the brink of self-destruction. We learned, painfully, slowly, that dominance is ultimately self-defeating. True strength comes from cooperation, from diversity of thought and approach. She gestured toward the viewport, where human and Crixian engineers worked side by side to repair a damaged Imperial vessel. Look at them, Already they're learning from each other, improving on both our technologies. That's humanity's real power, Officer Tyvik. Not our weapons or our ships, but our ability to adapt, to incorporate new ideas, to evolve. 6 cycles later, as the newly formed Galactic Cooperative Treaty was signed in the Grand Hall of the Imperial Palace, Tyvik reflected on the remarkable transformation. The Crixian Empire, unchanged for thousands of years, had been fundamentally altered not through destruction, but through the uncomfortable recognition of a superior approach. High Commander Xoreth and his supporters had been quietly removed from power, replaced by the Reform Council and a new structure that included representatives from all species within former imperial space. The humans had withdrawn most of their military presence, leaving only advisory teams and diplomatic missions. As Ambassador Telix and Admiral Chen signed the final documents, a new era began for the galaxy. The Crixians had not been defeated. They had been enlightened, forcefully but compassionately shown a better path forward. Later, as Tyvik prepared to depart for Earth as the first Crixian ambassador to humanity, he asked Shen one final question that had been troubling him. That first transmission we detected, it was deliberately designed to attract our attention, wasn't it? You wanted us to know you were coming. Chen smiled, the expression still strange to Crixian eyes. We believe in giving fair warning, Ambassador Tyvik, even to potential adversaries. But that risked alerting us to prepare our defenses. True, Chen acknowledged. But it also gave you the opportunity to choose diplomacy first. Humanity has learned that sometimes the most important victory is the battle you manage to avoid entirely. As his shuttle departed for the human vessel that would transport him to Earth, Tyvik gazed back at his homeworld. The Crixian Empire had ruled the stars unchallenged for millennia, convinced of their evolutionary and technological superiority. In just a few short cycles, humanity had not only proven that assumption wrong, but had fundamentally changed the course of galactic history. Not through superior firepower, though they certainly possessed it. Not through ruthless conquest, which they could have easily accomplished, but through a perfect balance of strength and restraint, power and wisdom. End.